How's it going, guys? I thought the best way to start the new year would be to do a best of video, looking back at some of the titles that I found most enjoyable. I think the only other time I've done a recap for the end of the year was back when I was picking up single issues, and that video was a mess. Uh, I probably won't link it to this one, but if you're interested, you could probably waste some time looking through my backlog. So I put together a short list of both graphic novels and manga that, as I looked back at some of the thumbnails, I thought really impressed me. If you're new to my channel, this probably isn't the best list to go off of. And if you've been around my channel for quite a bit, then you'll know that this probably is not the best list to go by, because I read a bunch of crap that nobody else reads. But before this turns into a 20-minute video or worse, let me get into the titles. I'm starting with the graphic novels, and I'm starting off with one that wasn't at the top of my list, but I really did enjoy it, especially for the art, and that would be James Stucco's Aliens Dead Orbit. If you've ever read Stucco's other work, you'll know he has a very bright, colorful style, which he toned down for Aliens Dead Orbit, and that was kind of disappointing. I would have enjoyed to see what he would have done, or if he could have pulled off something with his original bright, vibrant style. But he gives a kind of an explanation, and so that's my first pick. This next one is probably one of the most I enjoyed from the graphic novels, and I think it was back in maybe early spring that I got volume 3 and 4 of Gorillas. It is a 4-part series by Bram Revel. He does a great job with the characters, the story. I've always been fascinated with war dramas, and he does a great job of giving it that science fiction twist. Really makes the story stand out. And he does a great job making each of the primates its own individual character. Oni Press not too long ago did an omnibus of the 4 volumes, so I would say that would be a great way to pick up the series. I move on to one that was kind of a surprise to me, and that is Dalton's Monsters by Diraj Man. I believe it is his first, maybe his only work on a graphic novel, and I really love the way this thing looks. I really enjoyed the way it read. It was a lot of fun, and it is pretty much about Dalton and monsters. In the end, it was more of a character drama, very much driven by the characters, and there were some great characters in the story. I was very impressed for it being Man's first graphic novel. Another first time work. This is by Antoine Rivoire. It is Animus. I believe that's how you say it. I read the synopsis on previews, I believe, and is that what you call it, a synopsis? And I thought it was pretty interesting. It is very reminiscent of Katsuhiro Otomo's Domu, or Nightmares, and the style is very reminiscent of Otomo as well. Like I said, for being his first graphic novel, it was very impressive, a lot of fun to read. I'll end with this for the graphic novels. Volume 3 and 4 again came out this year. Stephen Frank Silver, 4-volume series by Frank, and it was great to finally get to see the last 2 volumes this year. It'd be great if Dark Planet actually put this into an omnibus. Collected release would be great. It was a Kickstarter. I'm sure that's why the release schedules were kind of all over the place. If you like Mike Mignola's work, it's very reminiscent to that, even in the art, but in the story as well, and it had some great twists at the end that I really enjoyed. So I guess now I'll move on to the manga portion of the video. If you want to skip that, feel free to do so. And you might want to, because most of these aren't published in English or are in print, I think. So be warned. And the first title up is actually going to be two titles. And I actually started this back in 2017, but I finally concluded one of the series in 2018, so I'm counting it as a 2018 read. But the two titles is going to be Manhole and Reset. Reset is a one-volume series that stands on its own, and these are both Tetsuya Tsutsui series, so you can imagine that you're not going to find them in English. But Reset on its own is pretty good. It's a computer horror kind of story. But what I really enjoyed is that they tied it into Manhole in a way. And Manhole is probably, beside Prophecy, I would say it's Tetsuya's second on my list to read. It's another detective drama, pretty much like Prophecy. You have these two detectives investigating some weird crime that has happened after somebody crawled out of a manhole. So anyways, it was a great two-parter. So I move on to another, and this probably is another one of those list toppers for me, especially when it comes to sci-fi. You know, people say this series or that series. Well, this and that series for me has now become Jiro Taniguchi's Chronicles of an Ice Age, Crónicas de la Era Glacial. It's a very early work by Taniguchi. This was released by Planeta. You could see it was kind of tooled by Ponan Mont. I almost saw no difference between what a Ponan Mont book would be and what this released by Planeta was. Probably maybe the orientation. No, I think even Ponan Mont does left to right or right to left. I don't know. Anyways, this series started off kind of slow, but it really picked up. There was a whole lot of world building in it, a whole lot of great character development that just went so fast that it was kind of daunting but exciting at the same time. To me, this is probably the best sci-fi I've read in a long time. Probably one of the best Taniguchi titles I've read so far, which isn't much, but hey, if you can find it somewhere or somehow, highly recommended. Yeah, I said recommended. I move on to another title that, of course, is not in English. That is a Shuzo Oshimi's She no es capaz de decir su propio nombre. Being a single volume, I figured I'd go ahead and pick it up. It is in the earlier style of Oshimi. To see him explore social anxiety the way he does in this book so realistically was really great. I don't think I've read anything similar to that. I really did enjoy that part. The art is good, but like I said, the story was what really put that on the top of the list. So I move on to the fifth manga title I have for this list, and this one is actually in English, but it's out of print, being that it is from CPM Manga, and I'm talking about Record of Lotus Wars, The Lady of Ferris. This is a two-part book series, and I picked it up solely because it was a two-parter, and I knew I would enjoy the art because it is by Akihiro Yamada, which does some fantastic stuff in this series. But what I didn't expect was to enjoy the story so much. I guess maybe because it felt a lot like, say, Lord of the Rings. The world building, you feel a sense of grandeur reading the story. I don't know. You know, you have elves creating songs for battles that fought in. And I'll end with one more. This is a new one, and this one is actually in English, and of course it had to be on my list because it's a first volume to a series from someone that I'm a big fan of, and that is Haze Aposuns. When you get more Stomunihe, you have to throw it on the list. If you were a fan of Knights of Sidonia, you have to pick this up. It's basically a spin-off or continuation. It feels like the same thing almost. Solely because it's a Nihei title that is making the list. But there you have it. I'm gonna end it there. A bunch of stuff came out. I actually did make a list, but I had to narrow it down just to keep it short. I mean, Erased Volume 4 came out. That was great. Oh, Headlopper 2. When you get more Headlopper is always great. Jenny Finn was a nice horror. Captain America, Home of the Brave, I believe. Lobster Johnson. I'm a big fan of Tonzik Sajik's art. I just wanted to keep it short, keep it simple. And yeah, that's what I'm calling my best of 2018. Let me know, guys. Let me know if you enjoyed this video, if you care for me to do a recap at the end of the year, or should I just stick to the haul videos? Let me know. I do recommend you go check out Mr. Earl Grey and his best of penalogies if you want a proper best of video. You know, he does a lot of great stuff for horror, slice of life, and basically every category he covers some titles for it. You'll probably find better recommendations there. But that should be it for this video. If you stuck around till the end, thank you very much. And I guess we'll see you in the next one if I make another one. Thank you for watching. So I see you decided to stick around for some more. If you wanted a worst list for 2018, well, it isn't much of a list, but I do have a title here. That would be Cowboy Ninja Vikings, or Cowboy Ninja Viking Deluxe Edition. And this was a big disappointment. It was a terrible read. The art wasn't that great. The art wasn't good at all, in my opinion. I've read other stories with Riley Rosmos' art, and sure, he's improved, but when you look back at his beginning here, it just isn't that impressive. The page layouts were all wrong. The colors were probably significant for what he was trying to do. The whole concept of Cowboy Ninja Viking was interesting. AJ Lieberman, I am not sure what else he's written, but what he tried to execute here, he just couldn't pull off. I've heard that probably the single issues are going for some pretty big change now because there's a movie deal or something. I would say if you want to stick with that and flip them, that is up to you. But please do not pick up this deluxe edition. It's a waste of money. If I would have been forewarned, I wouldn't have picked it up beforehand. But since everyone talks so great about Cowboy Ninja Viking, I thought it was going to be good. And it was not good. So, yeah, there you go. Worst of 2018. That's the top pick there. That's the only pick. Thank you for watching.